Selena didn't have to post a thing. Not a lyric snippet, not a teaser, not a quote, because her silence did all the talking. Just hours before her long-awaited album, I Said I Love You, first with her fiancé Benny Blanco was set to drop, something strange hit the internet. A website suddenly appeared out of nowhere, JB Vault, claiming to have leaked 18 unreleased Justin Bieber songs. Not old demos, not scraps, but supposed collaborations with artists like Ed Sheeran and Miley Cyrus. The timing was too perfect, or too suspicious, depending on how you looked at it. The leak dropped the night before Selena's album release, and within minutes, social media turned into chaos. Fans immediately began connecting dots that may or may not exist. "They never let her have her moment," one tweet said, racking up 500,000 likes. TikTok was flooded with edits comparing timestamps, speculating motives, analyzing metadata. It didn't feel like a leak. It felt like sabotage. And the fact that neither Justin nor Selena addressed it only made things worse. The silence became louder than words. Was this an accident? A marketing ploy? Or something more personal? An echo from a past that refuses to stay buried? Online detectives, as always, went digging. Within hours, they found that the JB Vault domain was fake. The business number didn't exist. The address led to a random building in Calgary, and the so-called official contact was tied to an expired SoundCloud account. It was a scam, a hoax designed to look real. But by the time that truth surfaced, it didn't matter. The rumor had already gone viral. The damage was done. The conversation had shifted. And right in the middle of it, Selena's album dropped. Fans called it poetic. How chaos tried to overshadow her moment, but she didn't flinch. No reactions, no statements, no passive-aggressive captions. She simply released her music. That restraint became part of the story itself. Because while the internet screamed, Selena stood still. Calm, certain, unbothered. But the real reason people were obsessed wasn't just the leak, it was the timing. The shadow of her history with Justin still hovers over every move she makes. It's been over a decade since their first public date, years since their last breakup, and yet their names still orbit each other online like planets that never fully drift apart. Fans read meaning into everything, her lyrics, his silence, their timing. And when the leak coincided with her new release, that old narrative burst open again like it had never ended. Selena's album was her most honest work yet. Songs like You Said You Were Sorry hit listeners like confessions wrapped in poetry. "I had a dream you said you were sorry," she sang, a line that instantly revived memories of Justin's 2015 hit Sorry. Fans claimed it felt like the conversation they never had. Then came Younger and Hotter Than Me, the track that everyone believed threw subtle shade at Hailey Bieber. We're not getting any younger, but Your Girlfriend hit like a dart to the timeline. It was sly, maybe playful, maybe not, but enough to keep theories alive. Selena insisted in interviews that the songs weren't about anyone specific, that they were reflections of emotion, not autobiography. But nobody cared. They never do. Every word she writes gets turned into a mirror for her past. Fans and critics alike combed through each lyric, convinced that she was still talking to the ghost of Justin Bieber. Whether out of nostalgia or obsession, the world still couldn't let it go. Then came How Does It Feel to Be Forgotten, a song that seemed to capture something even deeper. Listeners said it sounded like she was singing to someone who once mattered but no longer belonged in her world. The lyrics carried empathy, not bitterness. It was haunting. "I moved on, but part of me still hopes you're okay," one fan quoted online, calling it Selena's most human lyric ever. It reminded everyone of why people connected with her in the first place. Not because she was perfect, but because she was painfully real. She doesn't lash out. She doesn't retaliate. She turns her heartbreak into grace. And that's what makes her art feel like truth. Selena has said before that she writes songs not to reopen wounds, but to understand them. This album isn't revenge, it's release. She's not chasing closure from anyone else anymore. She's giving it to herself. The way she used to cry through the heart wants what it wants has evolved into the quiet self-awareness of don't take it personally. You can hear the difference in her tone. Less pain, more peace. The leak that tried to overshadow her ended up doing the opposite. It proved a point she didn't even have to make, that no matter what chaos surrounds her, she's beyond it now. The noise can scream, but she won't answer, because she's already said everything she needs to say. In her music, in her growth, and in her silence. This is not the Selena Gomez the world met at 19. fragile, emotional, caught in an impossible spotlight. This is the woman who rebuilt herself from the ground up, piece by piece. The one who no longer writes songs to be understood, but to finally understand herself. And that's the beauty of it. She doesn't need to fight the narrative anymore. The songs, the rumors, the silence, they're all part of the same story. But this time, she's the one writing the ending. The internet might never stop trying to drag her name back into the past. But Selena doesn't have to prove anything now. Not to Justin, not to her critics, not even to her fans. Because her piece isn't a headline. It's a choice. And as the final track fades out, her message becomes clear. She's not haunted by her history anymore. She's healed by it. By the following morning, I Said I Love You. First had become more than just an album. It was a statement. Critics praised it as her most emotionally mature work yet, a record that managed to sound like both a love letter and a letting go. Benny Blanco's fingerprints were all over it. Warm production, textured melodies, the kind of intimacy that doesn't just make you listen, but feel like you're intruding on something sacred. And yet, despite its gentleness, it hit harder than any public statement ever could. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. While the fake JB Vault leak fizzled into digital dust, Selena's songs were climbing charts across the world. The timing that once looked like sabotage now felt poetic, an echo of her entire journey. Every attempt to overshadow her only ever ends up highlighting her strength. Because where others react, she reflects. And that difference has become her superpower, but the conversations online refuse to die down. Some fans began claiming that the JB Vault stunt might not have been random at all. Conspiracy threads suggested that a fan-run marketing account had engineered the leak as an experiment to see how the internet reacts to nostalgia. Others believed it was an AI-generated hoax, created to test engagement algorithms before Selena's release. Whatever it was, it confirmed one thing. Selena Gomez's name is still lightning in the digital storm. Anything connected to her, real or fake, sets the internet ablaze. Through all of it, Selena stayed quiet. No interviews, no tweets, no explanations. The only thing she shared was a single black and white photo on Instagram, her hand resting over Benny's, a caption that simply read, "Love speaks loudest when you don't." Within hours, it had 20 million likes. Fans flooded the comments calling it the softest mic drop in history. Behind the scenes, sources close to Selena revealed that she wasn't angry about the leak or the speculation. If anything, she found it poetic. She knows people will always talk, one insider told Billboard, but she's not here to correct anyone. She's here to live her life, and that's the real shift. The Selena Gomez of 2025 isn't the one who defends herself online, writes open letters, or tries to prove her piece. She simply embodies it. Her new songs aren't about heartbreak. They're about what happens after you stop bleeding. They're about what remains when the noise fades. Take Don't Want to Cry, the soft piano ballad that closes the album. It doesn't sound like grief. It sounds like acceptance. Her voice is low, steady, at peace with every memory it carries. I used to sing to heal, she murmurs. Now I sing to remember who I was. It's not bitterness. It's not victory. It's release. That's why this era of Selena feels so different. She's not chasing charts or headlines. She's chasing honesty. And somehow, that authenticity has made her more powerful than ever. Fans aren't just listening to her music. They're growing up with her. They've watched her transform from a teenage pop star defined by her relationships into a woman defining herself. Meanwhile, the world she left behind. The one obsessed with who said what, who liked what, who followed who, keeps spinning without her. The irony is that her silence keeps echoing louder than any feud ever could. Because when a person finally finds peace, the rest of the world doesn't know what to do with it. Selena's not just moving on from the story, she's transcending it. Her music doesn't sound like goodbye. It sounds like someone already walking towards something brighter, something real. And as the noise of the JB Vault fades, as the tweets slow down and the think pieces die out, what's left is the simplest truth of all. Selena didn't need to defend her moment. She was the moment. For years, people said she'd never truly move on from her past, that she'd always be tied to it by invisible strings. But maybe that's the point. Maybe she didn't cut the strings. Maybe she learned how to play them and turn them into songs the whole world could feel. Weeks passed, and what could have been a fleeting controversy turned into one of the most defining moments of Selena Gomez's career. I Said I Love You. First didn't just debut high, It stayed there. The numbers spoke for themselves. Streaming, records, global chart domination, glowing reviews from critics who once called her too safe. But this wasn't about numbers anymore. It was about evolution. The kind that can't be faked. The kind that happens quietly while the world's too busy arguing. While the noise around the JB Vault hoax faded, Selena's album kept growing. Not through promotion, but through emotion. Listeners described it as a healing record. People weren't just playing it, they were using it. Late night drives, heartbreak recoveries, quiet mornings, the songs became soundtracks for moving forward. Don't Take It Personally found its way into millions of playlists, not because of gossip, but because of how deeply it resonated. Meanwhile, Justin Bieber's camp remained completely silent. No acknowledgement of the fake leak, no clarification, no denial. It was as if he'd decided that saying nothing was safer than feeding the story. But fans didn't stop talking. They dissected the coincidences, the patterns, the timing, as if searching for proof that fate was still secretly connecting them. One viral post summed it up perfectly. Selena's silence feels like peace. Justin's silence feels like guilt. It was harsh, but it reflected the mood of the internet, a collective realization that maybe these two people were no longer linked by love, but by what they represented. Selena, the survivor who found her voice. Justin, the boy who never fully escaped his past. But inside Selena's world, there was no bitterness. She was focused on her next chapter, wedding plans, new film projects, and a documentary about emotional recovery that she was quietly developing with Benny. In interviews, she avoided the drama entirely. Instead, she talked about therapy, boundaries, and joy. When asked about the online conspiracies, she simply smiled and said, "People see what they want to see. I just hope they're seeing love." That line went viral, not as gossip, but as a quote. Shared on Pinterest boards, tattooed on wrists, printed on merch. It became one of those rare celebrity sentences that actually heals instead of divides. And in a strange way, that's what Selena has become. Not just an artist, but a mirror. Her story reflects what millions of people feel. The ache of being misunderstood, the weight of the past, the quiet courage it takes to walk away without explanation. Her music isn't revenge, it's rebirth. By mid-2025, I Said I Love You first had transformed from an album into a movement. Fans called it the soft era, a rebellion against chaos, a reminder that strength doesn't have to scream. Selena's visuals mirrored that message. Muted colors, candlelight, handwritten lyrics, still shots of her recording late at night. No glam, no drama, just authenticity. Meanwhile, the gossip blogs moved on. They always do. But the art stayed. The songs lingered. The peace lingered, and maybe that's the quiet brilliance of it all. That after years of the internet trying to write her story, Selena finally took it back without saying a word. She didn't clap back. She didn't expose anyone. She didn't burn bridges. She simply built something so beautiful that no one could look away. Because that's what real power looks like. Not noise, not revenge, not chaos. Just calm, just peace. And in a world addicted to drama, Selena Gomez's silence might just be the loudest thing we've ever heard. And in the end, that might be the greatest irony of all. After years of headlines, heartbreaks, and half-truths, the loudest story wasn't about chaos anymore. It was about calm. Selena Gomez didn't fight the noise. She outlasted it. She didn't respond to the rumors. She rendered them irrelevant. Her silence became her legacy. Not the silence of retreat, but of mastery. The kind that says, "I no longer need to explain myself." Through her music, she turned what once broke her into something that healed millions. And while the internet kept looking for drama, she quietly built peace. Now, as her album continues to soar, one thing is crystal clear. Selena's not the girl waiting to be understood anymore. She's the woman who understands herself. The story that began with heartbreak finally found its ending. Not in revenge, not in reconciliation, but in peace. Because sometimes the real victory isn't proving the world wrong. It's finding a life so full, so steady, and so real that you no longer care who's still watching.